Situational awareness. This video will look at the following topics around situational awareness. Awareness of team and roles. Awareness of surroundings. Awareness of time. And awareness of threats. Please feel free to pause this video at any point to take notes. Situational awareness. Situational awareness looks at how cognitively present an individual is in a given situation or environment, and how aware the individual is of their surroundings and the task that is unfolding in real time. It looks at what factors could impede an individual's judgment and what threats are present that could lead to errors. We naturally apply pre-existing information, previous experiences, and education to make judgments on experiences we encounter. With regards to human factors, we then use this information to determine the perceived level of safety or evaluate the level of risk of error occurring. When the level of risk increases, our ability to concentrate and therefore cognitive load needs to increase also. Our heightened level of concentration on a particular task may then divert our attention away from other seemingly less important areas or tasks, and this is how people can have a lack of situational awareness. Having an understanding of what factors can lead to judgment errors, regardless of our prerequisite knowledge or experience, will help us understand how our judgment can be impaired in a situation and allow us to develop strategies and systems to attempt to prevent this from happening. In day-to-day life, our situational awareness can often be varied. However, on the whole, the level of risk is generally low. Let's look at an everyday example of a pedestrian walking along the street to go to the shops. In this example, the level of risk or harm is relatively low. Provided the pedestrian has a prerequisite knowledge to keep to the pavement and not to the road, the level or potential harm is minimal. The pedestrian could walk into a signpost if they weren't paying attention. However, by simply looking ahead and being aware of their surroundings, this should hopefully not happen. If the pedestrian then needs to cross a busy road to get to their destination, however, the level of risk is elevated considerably. Prior knowledge and education would help the pedestrian to make a balanced decision to stop, look both ways for oncoming traffic, before crossing the road. This does take considerably more cognitive load to achieve this task safely than merely walking along the street, however. The distance of oncoming traffic and its speed needs to be calculated against the distance needed for the pedestrian to travel across the road safely, and this can sometimes be misjudged. This is why you often see people having to run across the road to reach their destination safely due to this misjudgment. If we were to add another layer of complexity to this situation, such as the distraction of the pedestrian's mobile phone ringing, the pedestrian's concentration may be drawn away from the perceived level of risk and towards the distraction. We're now in a potential situation where the pedestrian has a lack of situational awareness. The distraction could lead to a partial or complete misjudgment of the level of risk, which could in turn lead to potentially fatal consequences. Of course, there may be occasions where we can anticipate this and put systems in place or barriers to try and prevent this from happening. In our example, if this is part of a road where pedestrians frequently cross, a signal crossing may be put in place to improve road safety. This will hopefully reduce the incidence of accidents occurring. However, we should also be aware that this system can be ignored by both the pedestrian all motorists if they wish to, and this could be caused by many of the factors we have already covered. Let's now look at some other factors which can affect situational awareness, particularly in times when there is need to carry out critical tasks requiring high cognitive load. Awareness of teams and roles. All team members have different roles and responsibilities. It is important that each team member possesses the situational awareness required to fulfill their responsibilities, particularly when time-critical tasks are taking place. A team is only as strong as its weakest link. This is a well-quoted phrase relating to teamwork, and the same can be applied relating to team situational awareness. It is important that all team members understand their own roles and responsibilities and how this in turn feeds into the overall objectives of the team. If one team member does not possess the adequate levels of situational awareness, this can lead to a critical error that could impact the whole team. Well-functioning team members fully understand their own roles and those of others around them. In some situations, members may even be able to take control of other members, in instances when situational awareness is compromised, providing adequate level of skill mix and training is present. Teams with good situational awareness are able to make critical decisions to ensure even difficult tasks remain focused. Although effective teamwork needs good leadership and will undoubtedly have a degree of hierarchy to them, effective teams will also promote an open culture where decisions can be proactively challenged if the decision maker's personal situational awareness has been compromised. Awareness of surroundings. Having an awareness of your surroundings and the environment you're undertaking a task in is incredibly important with regards to the prevention or indeed anticipation of error occurring. The surrounding area, any equipment or devices being used, and your interaction with them may contribute towards error occurring. An example of this would be a pilot flying a commercial aeroplane needing to be aware of the safety equipment available in the cockpit in the event of an emergency. The pilot should have an understanding of how equipment works and how to operate it. In times of heightened pressure, when undertaking time-critical tasks, the location of a key switch or lever could easily be forgotten. Familiarizing yourself with your surroundings or having a plan of action with regards to your surroundings at times of low risk in stress can be an effective way to try and prevent error occurring. This strategy is used frequently in various industries. You may have experienced something similar if you have recently attended an event or been to a training day. The session will normally begin with a safety brief. This includes items such as location of fire exit in the event of an emergency. This enables participants or attendees to have a better situational awareness of their surroundings, particularly if this is a new or unfamiliar location. Awareness of time. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? You may have heard or said this well-known proverb before, and there's a certain element of truth to it, particularly when applied to situational awareness. Our perception of time as a concept and application to a given situation varies hugely depending on a number of factors. In times of high cognitive workload, our perception of time that has passed may be significantly compromised as our brain tends to be more focused on the task at hand and not necessarily on quantifying the time taken. This can become a problem if the task at hand is time critical, particularly if an aspect of safety is concerned. In most instances, we can make an assumption that those undertaking tasks requiring even a moderate level of concentration will be compromised in terms of accurately perceiving the time taken to complete a task. Conversely, if someone is undertaking a monotonous chore or waiting in a queue, time passed can seem to take much longer. In either situation, our ability to perceive time against what is actually accurate is particularly important with concerns to undertaking tasks in a timely or safe manner. There are various strategies that can be employed to help us with an awareness of time. This ranges from simple and obvious ones, such as ensuring there is a clock nearby to check the time regularly or to set a timer, to slightly more complicated and coordinated approaches, such as ensuring that timekeeping and timely decision-making are made by team members who employ a hands-off approach to critical or technical tasks. Awareness of threats. Having an awareness of threats to you and others and protecting yourself from those threats seems like a fairly obvious statement to make, and we do this as humans on a daily basis, both through learned activity as well as instinctively. Our autonomic nervous system is programmed to invoke a fight or flight stress response in times of threat or danger. A hormonal response triggers a cascade of systemic reactions, preparing the body to engage instinctively by either fleeing the scene or engaging in combat. This effect is sometimes referred to as an adrenaline rush, and many of the same systemic effects also occur in high-pressure situations or threats in our working environments and can be used to our advantage. It is not uncommon, for example, for a healthcare practitioner to experience an adrenaline rush when attending the scene of a cardiac arrest. The immediate threat in this situation is that the patient may die of cardiac arrest, but the practitioner may also be subject to secondary threats, such as the fear of failure to perform in a critical task. The physiological response heightens the practitioner's ability to perform chest compressions and life support without becoming fatigued so quickly, as blood is redirected to the musculoskeletal system as part of the fight or flight response. Another physiological response is that the practitioner is likely to encounter tunnel vision. This response is designed to help a practitioner concentrate at the task in hand. However, this response does have potentially negative effects by blurring the global perspective of what else may be happening at the same time. This is where the ability to make time-critical decisions can be compromised, as previously discussed. Although our natural response may help us perform optimally in a given situation, we can often improve our ability to perform further by preparing through regular training and simulation of anticipated critical events. Of course, not all threats need to pose an immediate danger to life, and having an understanding of those threats which may not seem so obvious is important with regards to situational awareness. Complacency, for example, can be as much of a threat as an unfolding and anticipated critical event. If a person is undertaking a task and becomes complacent, they may not complete the task to the correct standard or apply the correct safety protocol. This will naturally increase the tendency for error to occur, which could in turn compromise safety. In these situations, where threats may not seem so apparent, we may let our guard down and not be prepared for the potential complications that could lie ahead.